Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining my live stream tonight. I am so excited because I am joined by Krista Webster, the CEO and President of Veritas Communications. And today we are going to be chatting about all about influencer marketing and specifically how to turn content creation into a full-time job. Now I know a lot of you guys are super interested in this and we're gonna dive right in, but a few housekeeping things. Just wanna start by saying we're both double vaxxed. We're really excited that we can be sharing this space together today. And also I know you think we may be related, but we're just lucky to share the exact same last name, Webster squared. We love it so much. So we're gonna dive right in. But as you know, I'm a full-time influencer and Krista's on the PR side. And what you may not understand is that these worlds are completely combined. So like influencers work with brands and agencies all the time to bring together amazing campaigns. And we're gonna kind of dive into that today and tackle some really, really awesome topics. So let's jump in. The first question for you, Krista. So as we know, a lot of brands like to work with creators, and sometimes it's just through gifted product or they work together on affiliate programs. But what really takes creators to the next level where they can really be making money and like a true income from being an influencer?
So first of all, so glad we're doing this.
Yeah, so excited. I know. Thank you, everyone.
I'm going to say, if you haven't been vaccinated, please go out and do so that we can all start to have more of these conversations in person.
Absolutely.
Influencer is a passion point for me because I grew up in it, and I will not reveal my age today. But it is something that I'm really excited that it's evolved as much as it has into a profession.
Totally.
In my world, I've worked in the U.S., in Canada, and abroad, and when I started as a PR girl, it really was sort of a vernacular that wasn't even used.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had to fight constantly to validate why it matters.
Absolutely.
And fast forward to today, now it really is a profession that you can make money at, that you can legitimately have a career that's long-lasting and always changing. So
for sure.
So brands do start to often work with influencers through gifting, testing and trying.
Yeah.
And I will say that the vehicle to do that also is often the agency like a Veritas, for example.
Yeah.
Just first of all, showing up and being authentically interested in a brand. That also comes from that matchmaking, that pairing that happens, I think is a really important vehicle that the creator, the brand, and the agency usually come together on.
Yeah, so true.
But then how do you take it to the next level to get paid for it and have consistency?
Yeah, it's a big jump.
It is a big jump.
Yeah.
And it also validates you that you're really in it and that this really is a profession. So our goal is always to have that transom as well, where really good creators get paid.
Yeah.
No one should ever not be paid when they're actually creating content. But there are different levels and there's a pecking order. And I think in order to get there, you need to prove that you show up. Yeah. That you are authentic to who you are.
Absolutely.
And that you even we forget that this is social, this is influencer, it's about the human touch. So was the journey pleasant?
Yeah. Yeah, seriously.
Was the influencer professional? Did the creator really provide even input into the process? That will separate very quickly those that are just there sort of having fun, and that's okay. Yeah. It's okay. And those that are actually here to stay.
Yeah, that's absolutely so true. And I think the professionalism side of it gets really lost because people think, oh, I'm just posting a photo, or it feels very casual. But the people that take it really seriously and they like you're saying, they show up, they're, responsive on email, all those things count so much. Yeah. So yeah, that's a great piece of advice for anyone listening. So the next question, a lot of us, this is forever. We get wrapped up in the numbers. How many likes, how many followers, how important is that in 2021? We have now the importance of like the micro creators, smaller creators that are so in tune with their audiences. So the clients that you're working with, are they really looking at, oh, I need them to have 1 million likes, or is it more like a brand fit?
Well, so first of all, it is about brand fit. Yeah. And what does that mean? Because brands, I think, have evolved too along the way in terms of not wanting you to do an infomercial. That is not the goal, because this really is about someone who truly believes in the brand. Clearly, they're passionate about it. And it's the storytelling around the brand. It's not just the brand itself. I would say all of the above is correct, meaning we are looking at nanos, we're looking at micros, and you look at macro and celebrity. It really comes down to the strategy and how you sort of, the different strings that the agency and the brand is trying to pull.
Interesting.
So for the profession, likes are really, it's not about following. Yeah. It's engagement for sure.
Totally.
And what does engagement mean? It can be a small group. Yeah. Has a true authentic engagement can create a big wave.
And real interest.
Correct.
And real conversion. I think
Correct.
conversion is a word that doesn't always get, chatted about with the outside world. But that really means an influencer is creating like a swipe up that's actually leading to a sale. So it's not just, oh, I swiped up, I looked at the site, I forgot about it, I didn't really care about the product. It's more, no, oh my gosh, I loved what that creator was talking about, and I actually want to give it a try. So I think that's so much what brands are looking for.
Well, creators and influencers, they are synonymous, except that respectfully you should be called a creator because at the end of the day, that's who you are. But creators that have influence is truly what matters.
Yeah.
And influence isn't just bought.
Yeah.
Influence is that if I say, if I was a car guru and I knew everything about cars and you're looking to buy a car, you would come to me and my review, my insight, all of those things would help to inform you if you saw me as an influencer in that.
Totally.
And it may drive to purchase, pardon the pun, but it also is just that...
Drive to purchase. I'm like, that went over me, but then I caught it.
Instagram live just on my puns.
I love it.
But I think it's also importantly that you're emotionally moving someone too, you're intellectually moving them.
Yeah.
It's not just what you see, even on, if the goal is to have someone purchase and conversion is defined that way, that's amazing. But it's not always that.
No, and it could be positive brand awareness. It could be so many different goals.
Influencing a trend. Where like there's something that's TikTok has started.
Yeah.
We want to see if it can permeate. Then
totally.
How do we do that? So it's really, really sophisticated, and I think the creators that get it start to really go deeper on understanding the strategies that go behind why they're being engaged.
Very true. I love that. Okay, the next question. What takes a creator from being good to truly being great? We obviously know the space is super saturated and it can be really overwhelming to like shoot content and put out content when you've never done it before. Yeah. But in your opinion, what sets apart a stellar influencer and ultimately gives them longevity? You did kind of speak about this a bit at the beginning, but maybe you have a few more tips.
So yes, likability is definitely a key piece. And that means you don't have to agree. In fact, I think when you're working with a creator, there should be a good tension. There should be a co-creation. So first tip is co-create. Have an opinion. You are part of the creative process. Veritas and Meat and Produce especially, you meet and produce together. It should be that vehicle. So be open to that and see yourself as a true creative in the creative process.
Totally.
I also think feedback is important. So receive feedback well. And if you don't get it, ask for it.
Yeah.
I think the biggest opportunity, if you want to truly make this a profession, is to ask what the ROI or what are the KPIs, all these words we use, but ultimately what's your goal?
Yeah.
And when a campaign is done, don't just say you did your content and leave it and hope pray that it went well. Ask.
Yeah.
Ask the agency, ask the brand, and say, how could I improve next time? I'm telling you, that will separate you from everyone else.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference. Just gently following up to get that information. And also, as a creator, I mean, that's something I do, and probably from the advice of you from many years ago, but it also then informs how you can go about your next collaboration. Yeah. And if something went wrong, okay, like there's a misstep there, something clearly didn't hit or didn't land with the audience, but let's go backwards and try to revisit. So I do think that's phenomenal advice.
Well, and also, Torri, you touched on something. I think in working with you and the ones that we worked with as agencies, and I've worked with for a long time and even a short time, I think that you don't just receive the information well, you're very open to what you don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hard to believe you don't know anything. There's things you don't know.
Yeah, I know.
But you take it and you inform yourself.
Yeah.
So you're vulnerable to it.
Totally.
Which I think you also have to be, because this is ultimately mistakes will be made. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't.
Yeah.
But if you're open to always improving together, then you
can't be beat. And also we say like this industry, as much as it's old in terms of the marketing piece of it all and the PR piece of it all, the influencer stuff is so new. I mean, like when I was coming up in university, there was no standards. There was no, here's a play-by-play of how you can get into this as a full-time job. It was truly trial and error. Yep. Like, okay, this works, this doesn't, this works, this doesn't. So, I mean, now luckily we have mentors and people that get it. Yeah. But yeah, it is a full process. So, okay, that brings us to our next question. When creators are just starting out, they don't often have support. They don't often have the mentor. They don't have the team behind them negotiating all their deals. So what advice would you give creators when it comes to, you know, setting their rates for collaborations or kind of like setting up those pieces that they should have when they're pitching, whether that's like a media kit or, you know, just some information on their demographics? Are there any things that stand out to you that would be advice for new creators?
Yeah, first of all, the good news is because of people like you and because we are growing up in this industry, there's a lot more benchmarking out there. So if you look up what should I be charging, first of all,
hopefully Google doesn't lie to you.
And I'm happy after this to provide your following with even some places they can look.
Totally.
There are more benchmarks now on where you should start, what you should expect. And again, I think that's a good thing because ultimately I think any brand would say they'll pay up to whatever it costs in order to, if it's the right person.
Yeah.
And it's not just even the person, it's the content and how it resonates. But you do have to start with a benchmark that's realistic.
Totally.
And I don't think agencies are always great also, or brands, at sort of negotiating something that starts from a place of we're all on the same page.
Totally.
So what's one thing you can do? You can research.
Yeah.
And you can have an honest conversation again and say, here's what I'm thinking, but is this reasonable based on what the ask is?
Right.
As opposed to probably you hear from a friend who's doing it or you're hearing it as hearsay.
Yeah.
Hearsay doesn't work. Go straight to the source and have an honest conversation. And it sometimes changes depending on the campaign.
Yeah. It's also, and I think you would agree with this, about a creator's rate, beyond the engagement piece and beyond, okay, how many followers you have and likes, of course that plays into it. But to me, like, a rate is actually made up of so many intangible things. It's how long have I been in the industry? You know, what is the professionalism I'm bringing to the table? What is the resume of brands I've already worked with? Like, what are, you know, all those intangible pieces of being a creator falls into your rate as well. So if you're just starting out, those things don't necessarily exist yet. So maybe you'll have a bit more flexibility when it comes to trying to build up that resume.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, my favorite question of the day. I'm obsessed with TikTok. I'm like truly on it every single day of the week. I know we're on Instagram Live. Shout out Instagram. Still love you. But how has this changed your world? Like, obviously, brands are excited by TikTok. From what I've seen on my end as a creator, it just feels like the influx of TikTok, you know, campaigns has been wild in the last year. So what has that been like for you? Because that must be really interesting, like navigating a new platform and then also being like, okay, now we're going to market and PR on this new platform.
Right.
What has that been like?
So first of all, I remember when we talked about TikTok before COVID, I think we did a panel, or was it during?
Did we just say, I don't use TikTok?
And you were like, I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah.
Right?
And now I'm like, guys, I have like 160,000 followers.
I don't know. The last 2 years have been a blur.
I know.
I think it was around the beginning of COVID.
It's so wild.
TikTok for me, first of all, what's really exciting is that the little sort of cultural trends, I was talking about this the other day with my team, the micro trends that sometimes take a long time, or used to take a long time to emerge.
Totally.
Micro don't always become macro, but they're moments in time. And in the PR business, opportunistic moments that you can catch on to strategically and creatively is golden.
Right.
So for me and on my professional side, I see TikTok as a sort of the beta of everything that's happening in the world culturally.
I love it.
And how we can actually test drive things.
Right.
Now, would I say that TikTok is the only vehicle you should use? No. I think that any brand, if I was counseling brand, then I would say, and for creators, you can become an expert in a social channel, but you really should explore all of them.
Absolutely.
And really also think about what your brand is, because if authentically you're not a TikTok person, then you shouldn't try to be.
No. And that's the thing. I think the storytelling on each platform can also be different. Like, I think there's this weird idea that if you're a beauty, you know, lifestyle creator on Instagram, that you have to be doing the same on TikTok. I mean, that was not the case for me. Like, my TikTok is much more like entertainment driven and like more about acting and like this whole other piece of me that I love doing that storytelling on that platform, and that works there. But I don't necessarily cross that over onto Instagram. And I think that's a good thing. Like, you can just do, you know, a whole creator has lots to offer. It's not just one facet.
And I think even podcasts, not that we're getting, but I'm always been passionate about podcasts. We work with Audible and have for some years.
That's exciting.
But even when we launched it, it was sort of really, no one was really podcasting yet. It was kind of a thing that you know, again, a small, very influential group was likely doing.
Right.
But all of a sudden it's imploded. And I think that there's great opportunity with voice, with sensory, with all of the different things that you can bring into your creation now. It's not just make content.
And it's not just here's a pretty picture anymore.
Correct.
And I think that's really exciting in 2021. Like, we're moving really away from this curated world into like truly here's the behind the scenes of my life, and here's the fun stories and the fun things going on. And that's what I'm loving, like, on the internet right now. I just feel like COVID did disrupt that in such an interesting way. It was like, I can be in sweatpants.
Completely.
And that's okay.
And I think what TikTok has taught us at the end of the day, and I go back to when people talk about it, social media, influencer marketing, or being a creator in this milieu, it's about the human element.
Yeah.
So why do we love TikTok? Because it's fun, because there's humor.
Yeah.
We're in a time in the world where we've needed it.
Yeah.
It's fast. It's like fast food, right?
Yeah.
It's like it invigorates you.
That's good. It's like fast food. I like that.
Right? Whatever fast food you choose to eat. But I think that it's one of those things where it has a lasting moment, and then the longer form storytelling is still really important. To your point, where people have different dimensions, so your influence will take different dimensions. And that's the difference between someone just responding on on Twitter, for example, versus your full human self.
Absolutely.
Being part of a different
the journey.
That's right.
Yeah. On to the next question, and this is a really interesting piece. Like I was trying to say at the beginning of the live, not a ton of people know about the PR side of things. So could you explain maybe how maybe you got into PR, and then how someone now coming up maybe in university or school could get into that side of the business?
Yeah, PR, oh my goodness, that's a whole other
Instagram
live. What is PR? That is a question that I think very few still to this day can actually articulate what exactly it is, but I fell into PR. I did a master's in journalism. I worked in that for a little while, and then I had a professor that recommended me to an agency. I didn't really know what it was. I had this fantasy that I was going to be a fashion editor of a magazine, and I interned doing that when I was doing my graduate degree. And she literally said, "You're either going to be a broadcast girl, which is, I hate to say girl, but I think that's what she used, or you're going I think PR is good for you because you're very creative. You love to write, but you also love to present. You're sort of a creative, and you're a creative too. So I fell into it, not knowing what it was.
Wow.
I listened a lot, right? I watched a lot and tried to sort of take it on, and it somehow just clicked. Now, how is that? Fast forward to today. Why are we talking about influencer and creativity, and then what is PR? PR agencies do a lot of things. I think from managing issues and helping people and companies get out of issues right through to proactive creativity, where we want to tell stories that are authentic. We actually some call us spin doctors. We're not spinning anything.
Spin doctors.
It's not. We actually want to tell the truths. But sometimes you have to make it provocative and interesting for people to pay attention. And to break through. And so the influence that someone has to tell that story, which is not a storytelling per se, it's about, talking about a really important vaccine and why that matters, for example, right? Using the right physicians and key opinion leaders to make sure the message resonates. We do a lot of that crafting. And so it was only a natural evolution as social started to, take over the world. That we needed our influencers, who are from authors to celebrities to working moms to everything within their own circles, that you would leverage them as spokespeople. That's really where it started.
So at first, was it just celebrities that you were working with?
Well, I think early days it was more celebrity or someone who'd be perceived as that, a book author. Or, more visible, because you didn't have, now we're really dating me, but it was like tell-a-friend programs and sampling and things, as things emerged pretty quickly, pretty rapidly. You could see the uptake of social was going to revolutionize what we do. But the goal really was for us to leverage spokespeople with credibility that could break through to media, to the news. Think about how that's changed now, right? Media and the news still exist, except they're also creators and influencers and reporting the news. And we all know the media is changing, but the idea of breaking through with a message that matters. So if it's about making sure people are safe, that matters. If it's about entertaining and making sure that you don't miss an event that you might want to see, or a new film, that matters too. It all matters. And so it just was a natural evolution from spokespeople into working with creators.
Working into PR. And so if you were in school now, would the piece be like more communications? Like, what do you look for when you're hiring people to work under you at Veritas?
So thankfully there's a lot of amazing
programs
programs that graduate incredible people.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a really great asset to come in with at least a little more understanding of some of the things you should expect.
Right.
Then take that learning and go like this.
I know nothing.
Okay. But at least you have the grounding of what you think it will be.
Yes.
And what I would say is in going into the PR side or the creator side, and frankly, you can do both.
Mm-hmm.
I actually worked as a journalist and worked in PR for
wow.
a year and a half. That's really seems strange because it's sort of like two sides of the same coin.
Exactly.
But it worked in so much as I was able to see it from all sides.
Right.
Often even great reporters have become PR people.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's more room for great creators on site, just as you do with us, for example. And vice versa, more PR people are getting involved in becoming their own creators.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think, like, we've discussed this internally, but, like, the ideation phase for a long time didn't involve creators. So brands would sit around and have these ideas for campaigns, and then they would, like, call someone like me and be like, hey, Torri, okay, throw this together. And then I'm sitting there being like, oh, well, this didn't really have, like, the creative or creator in mind, like the real person behind the scenes bringing it to life. So I think, to your point, it's become really nice that in the last few years especially, the creators really have a seat at the table, at least at Veritas. And, you know, it really becomes a co-create, as you said.
Yeah. Well, and because at the end of the day, PR is about influencing a message.
Right.
Meaning you want it to resonate with the right audience at the right time.
Yeah.
It's a true message that you have crafted in order to make it resonate.
Yeah.
So working with creators who have, by their very nature, not just because you do a great photo, but you have influence in a specific vertical.
Totally.
You have it in multiple verticals, but let's say beauty, for example.
Yeah.
Okay. That brings credibility, so I know that when we're creating messaging, if you were a spokesperson, we'd be creating messaging to break through. In this case, we're creating content that's both entertaining and informative that's going to break through. So, so the influence piece of that is the same. It's the same, just done differently.
Wow. Guys, it's crazy. It's a crazy world we're in.
If you want an amazing life, though, and career where you're always learning.
It's true.
On both sides, whether it's PR or being a creator or both. Now is the time to dive in because it's really at a meteoric explosion.
It's so true, and it's also every single day is different, and I'm sure you feel the same. Like every day is a different campaign, a different idea, like a different, you know, news break, if you will. Like it definitely keeps you on your toes. So if you have that type of personality, maybe this is the path for you. And in that same breath, this role, my role as a content creator, is a very, like, lonely role in some ways. I'm a freelancer. I work alone. I wear every hat. I'm the creative director. I'm my own talent. I'm my own hair and makeup artist. I'm all my own things. My own producer, right?
Yes.
But, you know, do you have any advice? And I don't know if you've ever been freelance as you've gone on your journey, but we know that it's kind of like a tough world out there when you're a creator. Do you have any advice for, you know, young people going in that direction?
Yeah, I think so. I was freelance for the early days of being sort of a quasi reporter, and then fell into PR.
Right.
So about a year in. And I like the stimulus of many people around me. So I understand what it's like from a freelance standpoint because we hire and employ a lot of freelancers.
Totally.
I think you should make sure you engage. First of all, try to do even as what you've done so well, which is engage with as many brands and companies as possible to be part of creative brainstorms. When we can get back to the offices, walk in the shoes of each other so that, and walk the hallways. Ask if you can take up space with an agency, for example. I'd be shocked if any agency didn't say yes.
Yeah.
If they say no to you, you come to Veritas.
Yeah.
But I think the benefit is that we can share things spontaneously because a lot of our work too, and you know this, is that you get a great idea. You're probably alone.
Right.
And we get great ideas when we have more people together, suddenly with that spark plug. So just be open to asking. Inviting in the idea of being part of a collective, and also bring other freelancers together. Yeah. So spend more time together now that we're hopefully on the tail end of COVID. Let's hope so.
Fingers crossed.
But come up, even if it's a Teams call. Just have a designated time that you're coming together and getting outside of yourself.
Yeah.
Even our own teams during COVID, it's been difficult because we're all so team focused as agency. First of all. So the buoyancy comes from building off of each other. Yeah. So come up with ways, whether you're walking with someone once a week, whatever you do, have a little group huddle that actually, and don't join an echo chamber. Like, truly find others that might even challenge you because you'll be
So
better
true.
for it.
So true.
And so that you're not feeling isolated and also single-minded in what you're thinking.
It's true. And I also think creators often like lean towards categories that they're already in. Like you'll see creators that will, like a beauty creator will work with another beauty creator. But like some of the most fun I've had as a creator is when I'm like collaborating with someone in a completely different field, like a food creator, or like, listen, I cannot be in the kitchen. Like that is not my skill set. So like when I'm working with people where I know it's not my strength, but it's theirs, like that gets me so excited. And like, you just come up with more creative ideas and more ways to be involved. So I love that advice. I think it really resonates. So the next question, and this one I have a lot of opinions on because I really care about media kits and I think it's really important for creators that are just getting started. But what are some things that you would recommend creators put in their media kits when they're pitching to brands?
Well, I think first and foremost, I would put, what is your, when I say value proposition, who are you and what do you stand for?
Right.
So that, it doesn't need to be a whole political dissertation on what you're, but it should be something that reflects what you believe in.
Yeah.
What do you stand for? What brands, the brand categories you love?
Totally.
Why do you see yourself being influential as a creator? So what areas and things could you actually inform and also influence?
Yeah.
And then also, don't be shy about showing the business side of you.
Yeah.
And if you need help, then you find people who can help you craft that. But I think having a kit that actually goes right into, here's examples of work that I did, and here were the results. Here's what I thought worked really well.
Totally.
Here's where I would even have improved. So you're showing the next
like you
client,
understand.
Correct. Also, small thing, if you're pitching Coke, don't show Pepsi.
Yeah.
So
watch your competitors.
Like I would be, know the audience.
Yeah.
Right? Be aware of who you're trying to win business from.
It's very true.
If you're pitching it through a talent agency or a PR agency, and sometimes those are very much intertwined, do a little research on the people that you're pitching.
Yeah.
Look at the channels. Look at their channels, because every individual employee also is that. But also, what is the company working on?
Yeah.
So know your audience and make sure you've prepped it. So you might have a generic kit, but you're going to need to customize it.
Absolutely. I think that's like the hottest tip, because I personally, in today's day and my day-to-day flow of work, I would never send the same kit to the same brand. Like, everything is customized to that client when it's being pitched to them, because if like people can tell when you've done copy paste, like it's so obvious. So one piece of advice, don't do that.
No, and also remember when I say know your audience that we all have so limited time.
I know.
So show me right away. Show me, don't tell me. So even though it's a kit, keep it short, keep it visual. Get to the point on the business in the front, party in the back.
Yeah, we love a mullet.
And then, well, I love, or a reverse mullet. You could do party in the front and business in the back, depending on who the audience is. But then try to get to a place where you recognize everyone's super busy. So don't ask for a coffee right away, but get to the place where you've at least said, here's why I think we're right. Do you have a few minutes?
Totally.
Okay.
So this will be the last question of the day. We will maybe hop into a little bit of a Q&A after this, but the last one, and kind of to that same point, is I think a lot of creators have this misconception that it is a like 90% creative job and a 10% business job, whereas in my head, it's 50-50, if not like 60-40 creative and more business. But have you seen young creators, and maybe not even young, just people getting started in the industry, make some missteps or some mistakes along the way that you were like, oh, I just wish I, had helped them with that, or I wish they had, done that differently? Is there anything that stands out as like a big no-no, or just something you're like, oh, cringe, like don't do that?
Well, I think disagreeing in a really obvious, you're not
fashion.
Yes. So you can still have, I think it's important you're hired because you have a point of view.
Right.
And respectfully, you're not dealing with a creator could be dealing with someone who's also new in their career on the PR agency side, for example, or brand. So I would say we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. So listen before you speak. But also when you do, and if you do disagree, or you say, be respectful about your discourse. Also, I wouldn't jump right to, what are you going to pay me? That's usually, and I have seen that. So what does this mean, and how much time is this going to take? And then scheduling. Some of the mishaps, maybe the ones that are starting out, I can't do it this time, or this time. Well, the brand also has something that
some commitments,
So try to schedule with, not against. Just be, you want this. Be as amenable as possible.
you.